right, the Senate will come back to order. Senate will come back to order. Secretary will read House Bill 513. Senator from the 54th will stand by.
House Bill 513 by Representative Stevens of the 164th, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 3 of Chapter 11 of Title 9 of the OCG relating to pleadings and motions so as to revise provisions regarding the procedure for claims asserted against a person or entity arising from an act by that person or entity which could reasonably be constructed as an act in furtherance of the right of freedom of speech or the right to petition the government for redress of grievances, to revise definitions, to amend Chapter 5 of Title 51 of the OCG relating to libel and slander so as to revise a cross-reference, to provide for related matters, to provide for an effective date and applicability, to repeal conflicting laws and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Committee of the Senate on Economic Development and Tourism recommends that this bill be passed by substitute. Respectfully submitted by Senator Beach of the 21st. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Economic Development and Tourism offers the following substitute to House Bill 513, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 2 of Chapter 6 of Title 5 of the OCGA relating to appellate practice so as to revise provisions regarding those judgments and rulings deemed directly appealable, to amend Article 3 of Chapter 11 of Title 9 of the OCGA relating to pleadings and motions so as to revise provisions regarding the procedure for claims asserted against a person or entity arising from an act by that person or entity which could reasonably be constructed as an act in furtherance of the right of freedom of speech or the right to petition the government for redress or grievance, to revise definitions and for other purposes. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 54th present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senators, I rise to ask your favorable consideration of House Bill 513, which is an amendment to Georgia's existing anti-strategic lawsuit against public participation law. A strategic lawsuit against public participation is a lawsuit that is designed to interfere with the normal operations of the public's participation with their First Amendment rights as it relates to these issues. Today, we are faced with a growth in our media and telecommunications and film industry in Georgia, and most of the states that have that growing industry also have this sort of language in their anti-SLAPP statute, which basically allows an entity, for example, who is making a film based on real-life events and someone takes them to court in an effort to silence that speech, to silence that free exercise of their First Amendment right to speech, to quickly get a decision from the court as to whether there's any substantial likelihood of success on the merits of that claim so that they can move forward with the exercise of their First Amendment rights. So all of these cases are subject to immediate appeal by either party if they have what they consider to be an adverse decision by the court. In essence, a party would take a claim to court asking for the court to immediately dismiss. You make a motion, you go before the judge, and the judge considers the claim at that initial stage and makes a determination as to whether or not the claim has merit to go forward. If it does not, the judge would strike it and say this is the exercise of First Amendment rights. They're able to proceed. If there is merit to the claim moves forward just like any other litigated claim. This is something that we've had in Georgia for several years. This is an expansion that contemplates provisions related to the film industry. It's supported by that industry in Georgia. I would ask your favorable consideration, and if there are no questions, Mr. President, I would yield the well.
There is a question. Chair recognizes Senator from the 10th for a question.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Yield?
I yield.
Senator, it's not true that this bill went through, as it went through the committee, that there was a friendly amendment offered and all parties agreed that it was a good amendment?
I believe the senator is correct and knows of which he speaks.
And isn't that amendment included roughly on line 90 on page 3 of this bill, Senator?
That is my understanding, Senator.
That relates to public figures?
That's correct. And the importance of that issue has been raised is that the standard for a public figure with respect to a First Amendment claim would require actual evidence of actual malice, and so it makes room to ensure that they have the opportunity to gather that evidence.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. No further questions.
Thank you. I yield the will.
Questions on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection? Without objection, committee substitute is adopted. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the bill? Is there objection to agree on report of committee which favor pass the bill? Chairs none. Report of committee is agreed to. Shall the main question be now put? Are there any objections? Chairs none. Main question is ordered. Shall this bill now pass? Question on the passage of the bill. All those in favor of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed, no. Secretary, unlock the machine. Senator from the 45th, would you approach, please? That's right. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 50, the nays are 2. This bill, having received Rex constitutional majority, is therefore adopted. Secretary will read House Bill 579. Senator from the 50th will stand by.
House Bill 579 by Representative McCall the 33rd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 6 of Title 40 of the OCG relating to general provisions regarding uniform rules of the road so as to provide for the operation of certain vehicles upon the highways when used in connection with agricultural pursuits, to provide for conditions, to provide for related matters, to repeal convicting laws, and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Committee of the Senate on Agriculture and Consumer Affairs recommends that this bill do pass, quickly submitted by Senator Wilkinson of the 50th. Mr. President, Senator Unterman of the 45th offers the following amendment number 1 to House Bill 579 as follows: by inserting the words "county having a population of 100,000 or more according to the United States Census of 2010 or any future such census of any," and between the word "any" and "municipality" on line 33. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 50th, distinguished Ag Committee Chairman, to present the bill.
Mr. President, members of the Senate, House Bill 579 permits a farmer who is at least 16 years old to operate a farm use vehicle on any public road or highway in Georgia so long as the vehicle has a properly affixed emblem. That would be the triangle, the slow-moving vehicle emblem. If you look at the bill, you see that farm use vehicle is defined in the bill. Also, in the bill, any municipality may prohibit the operation of the farm use vehicles. And so, Mr. President, if there are no questions, I'll yield the well.
Senator, is there, I mean, I know we've got a number of farmers that are present and they're members of this body. Is there a height limit on this by chance?
I'll have to, could the senator from the 7th speak to that, please?
Chair recognizes Senator from the 53rd.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Yield,
I'll be glad to.
I just want to know, is the FFA in approval of this bill?
Well,
You
you
got
know,
to look.
well, you know, it's kind of like the fireworks bill. We've got the FFA, the City of Atlanta, Peachtree City, the Georgia Municipal Association, Colonel McDonough with the State Patrol, and all of the ag industry solidly behind this bill.
Okay, now let me repeat my question. Is the FFA, or do they approve this piece of legislation?
They did.
Okay, that's all I need to know.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 31st for a question.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Yield.
I will.
Isn't it true on most of these vehicles, they got steps on them so short people can get on them?
I'm sure that the tall senator knows whereof he speaks.
And isn't it further true, even some of them's got skinny seats for folks with short legs?
Thank you.
Exactly. You want to be comfortable. when
Hey,
you're doing
by the
work.
way, this is not my first bill.
All right.
And I would just mention while I'm up here that I understand that one of my good friends may have an amendment to this, and while I'm up here, I'll let you know I'm opposed to that amendment. Mr. President, if there are no further questions, I'll yield the well.
Senators yield is now Chair recognizes Senator from the 45th to speak to her amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the Senate, I offer this amendment. As y'all know, most of you already know, I come from a county that is almost 1 million people, and I have no problem. I ride an ATV in Walton County, not in Gwinnett County, and I have absolutely no problem with the ability to use those on farms and have the utmost respect for the chairman of the Agriculture Committee. But my county is telling me that without this amendment, that you will be able to use four-wheelers and ATVs on the Ronald Reagan Parkway and the Sugarloaf Parkway. Unfortunately, municipalities are eliminated, but in large landmass counties like Cobb County, Gwinnett County, Cherokee County, all of these big counties that are either semi-urban or urbanized, that you will be able to use four-wheelers, ATVs, on their major arterial roads. And when you're dealing with a county of 1 million people, that has serious consequences, as you probably already know, and especially with children who ride ATVs. And our county, in the southern part of the county, is very urbanized, but when you get up into the northern part of Gwinnett County, it's kind of semi. And we do have a lot of ATVs. So our county is concerned. I know there was a question about whether this was a population bill, but I don't know how to word it any differently. If we could agree to this amendment and maybe go to a conference committee and figure this out for those large urban counties, I would be amenable to doing that, but I don't know what else to do, and I'm open to suggestions. With that, I'll be glad to answer any questions.
You do have a question. Chair recognizes Senator from the 8th for a question.
So my friend, well, you do realize this would be taking my county out of this bill, along with the county of the former governor, Perdue, and our current governor. And there happens to be a good bit of agriculture in these counties, along with probably 12, 15 other counties in the state.
I'm not sure how many counties have over 100,000 people in their population. Like I said, I didn't know how to word it. If you want to change that population to much larger, I'm fine with that. If you want to change it to 500,000, my county is almost 1 million people. I think if you look at Cobb County, DeKalb County, Fulton County, all these large metro Atlanta counties, they would be amenable to a higher number to eliminate that possibility. And I understand, like in Tifton, in those areas where you have a central city population, but the surrounding agricultural area, I'm not trying to interfere with that. I'm just trying to interfere with the Ronald Reagan Parkway and the Sugarloaf Parkway and not having that ability to have a four-wheeler out there anytime you want to, and it's not against the law. But I agree with you, Senator from the 8th.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 56th for a question.
Thank you, Mr. President. Will the senator yield?
Yes, I will.
Senator, isn't it true that I represent one of those large counties as well and share your concerns?
Yes.
Senator, I do have one question, though. I believe, as I read through the bill, that this would only allow someone to cross the road if they were from their residence to their farmland that has agricultural, livestock, farm machinery, and farm supplies. So isn't it true that I'm not really that concerned that that would happen necessarily in our areas, and I have concerns that population bills may not be consistent with the Georgia Constitution right now?
I agree with you, and evidently ACCG did not believe in what you were saying about the farm to other across the road. They're concerned about traveling on major arterial roads, and that's why they gave it to me.
Will Senator yield for one last question?
Sure.
Isn't it true that our friends with ACCG have been incorrect on more than one occasion?
Well, yeah, I don't have to disagree with you there. And I'll throw in GMA and a whole bunch of other people out there in the hallway. But I just wanted to bring it up just to make sure that we're trying to help those large urbanized counties.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 50th for a question.
Will the senator yield?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Is it not true that lines 22 through 24 state that such vehicle is actively being operated by such farmer, individual defined as a farmer, to transport agricultural products, livestock, farm machinery, or farm supplies to or from a farm?
Yes, sir, but I would like to draw your attention to line 33, and I think this is where ACCG has a problem. You're eliminating municipalities and you're taking out the cities, but you're not addressing the county issue. And when you have large urban counties like Gwinnett County, the majority of that county is not cities, it's county land, property, land mass.
Will Senator further yield?
Yes.
Is it not true that there are some large counties in South Georgia that are big farm counties that would be affected? And is it also not true that there's a constitutional question regarding this amendment because of the population?
Yes, sir. I've been down here a long time, and I'm real familiar with those population questions. But I'm asking for forgiveness that I'm only trying to protect my county, and that's what I'm sent down here to do. And if someone knows how to write it better, because you are talking about Fulton County, DeKalb County, Cobb County, Gwinnett County, Cherokee County, Fayette County, all of these large metropolitan areas. And we already have a transportation traffic mitigation problem, and I'm just trying to address those issues.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 31st for a question.
Thank you, Mr. President. Does the senator yield?
I think I'm yielding to the hinterland caucus here.
Thank you. I wish I was in the hinterland right now. Is it true that when we are sworn into this office that we swear to uphold the Constitution of the United States and as well as the state of Georgia?
Senator, I think you remind us of that, not if every day, about every hour, about that Constitution, and I appreciate it.
Do you agree that it's a part of our oath of office?
Oh, yes. Yes,
Thank
I
you.
do. I would like to ask the senator from the 31st if you know how to write this amendment any better. I'd be glad to work with you.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 9th for a question.
Senator, will you yield?
Yes.
Isn't it true that we could rewrite this section or rewrite this and just give counties the ability to regulate this as well as municipalities?
I did not participate in the Agriculture Committee's hearings on this, and I'm not sure, but I would be more than happy to be able to do that. And I'm sure ACCG maybe could come up with even better language than what they wrote on a population bill.
Do you further yield?
Yes.
Isn't it also true that in some of the areas of northern Gwinnett County that are still agricultural in use, the thoroughfares through those counties are still very, very busy. They still have congestion, and vehicles travel at a high rate of speed.
Yes, Senator, from the 9th. I think you very well know that the Sugarloaf extension that goes through your district does have cattle farms that are left. They're the remnants of Gwinnett County's agricultural history, and that there are, but now you have a major arterial highway that it was actually supposed to be the outer perimeter that went around Atlanta. But yes, sir, it does go right through the middle of your district, and it would be applicable, and you could ride an ATV on the Sugarloaf Parkway according to what's written now.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 7th for a question.
Thank you, Mr. President. Would the distinguished lady yield?
Yes, I will.
Madam Chairman, to follow up with the esteemed chairman from the Agriculture Committee and to continue on, a provision in the underlying legislation provides that such farmer is in transport from his or her residence or his or her farm. And I think that as exclusive to say that he is not going to be just riding up and down highways on a joyride. He is in active production. He's in active pursuit of his job. He's in active pursuit of what they're doing. So is it not true that that allows that individual to further perform the duties of which he or she acts in on a daily basis?
Senator, I think you're correct if you're in South Georgia, but if you're in the senator from the 9th district, or if you're in my district, the 45th district, and you're in Brazelton, Georgia, that you potentially could be on a farm that is located on the Sugarloaf Parkway going right through the heart of Gwinnett County, and you were trying to get across, and you would have the ability to ride on that Sugarloaf Parkway, which is a 4-lane divided highway, to get to the other side. And I think that has the potential for harming not only the person on the ATV, but the traffic that is going up and down.
No further questions, Senator.
If I could just close out, Mr. President, I would ask that the urbanized counties, if you would please vote in favor of this bill, and we could send it and hopefully come back and get some answers in a conference committee. I'd be glad to do that. Thank you. I yield the well.
choice is either to allow it or prohibit it. What I'm saying is they can limit it. They can prohibit it or limit it.
But you're not gonna put county.
That's a different amendment. This is, my amendment doesn't do county. He's just talking about
What's the need?
Well, so if you're, think about this, if you're a city and you say, look, I don't care if your home is in the city and your farm is out there, if you get in on your ATV, ride it out to your farm, if you're on a city road for less than a mile. But I don't want you driving down through downtown with all your farm equipment back and forth. So that's a limit. But my choice, the way you have it, is I either prohibit it or I allow it. I can't put a limitation.
It's always talking about some municipality.
I just want to be part of the huddle.
Commitment that you need to honor, then that's one thing.
Yeah, I think that's good.
I'll
Good
go
point.
I'll go with that.
All right.
You're all right with that amendment?
It says that the municipality may prohibit or limit. In other words, they can't. I know that's your issue.
That's a separate.
I've got a different issue. What's your issue? That you're giving a city the only option is they can prohibit it outright, or they can limit it, or not have it at all. Or they can allow it or limit it. That's your amendment. I know he's going to be against it. I understand. I think this.
But he's not in favor of your amendment.
I know, but mine is local control. If you're in Tifton, the county's not gonna care what you do. But if you're in Gwinnett County, the county's gonna care. It's local control. These urbanized counties that say you can't do it. But like if you're in Tifton County, they'll say you can do it.
I think this is a red herring. This is G is throwing out there.
I can't go against what the money is.
But we vote, I mean, you can vote, you can vote against it. I mean,
This keeps it open too. You can have house members, you can run house members for your position.
I'm getting back at me.
all right, so you're gonna, so
I'm gonna withdraw my
withdraw
amendment
your
number
amendment.
one, and I'm going with amendment number two.
Secretary will read the other amendments that have been drafted.
Mr. President, Senator Albers of the 56th and others offer the following amendment number 2 to House Bill 579 by inserting on line 33 after the word municipality, the words or county. Mr. President, Senator Bethel of the 54th and Harper of the 7th offer the following amendment number 3 to House Bill 579 by inserting the word or limit following the word prohibit on line 33. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Okay, all right, so let me recognize Senator from the 45th to withdraw amendment number 1.
Mr. President, I make a motion to withdraw amendment number 1 as written.
All right, is there objection? Without objection, amendment number 1 has been withdrawn. And now we're going to amendment number 2, authored by the senator from the 56th, 45th, and 9th. You're recognized to speak to your amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a very small amendment that on line 33 in the bill, it allows any municipality to prohibit the operation. This will just add counties to municipalities, so cities and counties will be treated equally. It's simply a local control issue, and I believe will address the concerns from the senator from the 45th and others of us who are in the more metro area and larger counties. If there are no questions, I'll yield the will.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 45th.
Senator Gill.
Yes, Senator.
Senator, you said that this was local control. Is this not true that this would resolve the issue for the urbanized areas and that we agree on this particular amendment and it needs to pass?
Senator, I completely agree. Thank you, Mr. President.
No further questions. Chair recognizes Senator from the 54th to speak to his amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to ask your support of amendment number 3, which may be on its way around, but it's on line 33 as well. Currently, whether it's municipality or county, the way this reads is the local government has only the option to prohibit or allow. Amendment number 3 would say prohibit or limit. So that a county that wanted to say, or a city that wanted to say, as it depends on how we vote on amendment number 2, if they wanted to say for no more than half a mile, or say you live in town, but your farm is outside of the city limits, and they say only while driving from home to the farm, that would be a limitation that a municipality could allow. But right now they have the choice either to absolutely prohibit or absolutely allow. So my idea would be that they could have intermediate standards in town as opposed to just sort of yes or no. And Mr. President, I would yield for questions. If there are none, I'd ask favorable consideration of Amendment 3.
Chair recognizes Senator from 23rd for a question.
Wouldn't that, would Senator yield?
I yield.
Wouldn't this also deal with the problem of maybe 4-lane roads, congested roads versus
I think the senator is
roads?
exactly right. You could say on main corridors it's prohibited, but on the side streets or elsewhere it would be allowed. That would be a limiting ability.
No further questions, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 50th to close the debate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the Senate, I appreciate the attention that you have given this bill. And I know from time to time I'm reminded that I haven't been here very long, and there are a lot of things that I don't know. And you know, there's a good part about that, because that's one time I feel a little bit younger. You know, I'm glad I'm fairly new at something. But I would just say to you this: I think this is a good bill. Most of the farmers that I know have enough common sense that I'm not worried about them riding up and down Sugarloaf Parkway cruising. I have great trust in their personal responsibility. Now, I'm going to support Amendment 3, and I'm going to oppose Amendment number 1 and 2, and I urge your favorable consideration of the bill.
All right, Amendment 1 has been withdrawn. Now the question is on. I'm sorry. Amendment number 2. Amendment number 2. That senator from the 50th knows how to make a man laugh, that's for sure. Is there objection on Amendment number 2? There is objection on Amendment number 2 by that youthful senator from the 50th. All those in favor of Amendment number 2, rise, stand, and be counted. If you're in favor of Amendment number 2, rise, stand, and be counted. Reverse. On Amendment number 2, the yeas are 13 and the nays are 29, and the amendment has lost. Now the question is on Amendment number 3. Is there objection? Without objection, Amendment number 3 has been adopted. Now, does any other senator wish to speak for or against the bill? Is there objection? Agreed to report of committee, which is favorable, pass the bill. Chairs none, report of committee is agreed to. Shall the main question be now put? Are there any objections? Chairs none, main question is ordered. Shall this bill now pass? Question on the pass the bill. All those in favor of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed, no. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 55 and the nays are 1. And this bill, having received requisite constitutional majority, is therefore adopted. All right. Can we have a few more of those little fights? That was actually kind of fun, I thought, you know? We have a great quote from the senator from the 50th, you know? That was legendary. Senator, he said, I think the farmers have enough sense not to run up and down Sugarloaf Parkway on a four-wheeler. I mean, that's pretty doggone good. You got to admit. I mean, I hope you'll find the journal has been found, you know, correct in the morning on that one. But Senator from the 45th is recognized.
Inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Isn't it true that I get along with the Hinterland Caucus and I even wore my boots today?
Oh, come on. They're not the hinterland. You got farming in your blood too. All right. Very good. And the beauty about the process, y'all can fight for your districts, but come together, unified after it's all said and done. It's a beautiful thing. Chair recognizes Secretary will read House Bill 691.
House Bill 691 by Representative Tanner of the 9th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 32 of Title 36 of the OCGA relating to municipal courts generally so as to provide the removal of appointed municipal court judges under certain circumstances, to provide for procedure, to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Committee of the Senate on State and Local Governmental Operations recommends that this bill be passed by substitute, submitted by Senator Alvarez of the 56th. Mr. President, Senate State and Local Governmental Operations Committee offers the following substitute to House Bill 691, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 32 of Title 36 of the OCGA relating to municipal courts generally so as to provide for the removal of appointed municipal court judges under certain circumstances, to provide for procedure, to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 54th. Present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senators, I bring before you House Bill 691, which is designed to ensure that municipal court judges receive due process if and when an effort is made to remove them from office. Our municipal courts, of course, are not part of our unified court system. They are voluntary courts. Each municipality can choose whether to have a city court. And so judges there are not protected by the laws associated with removing judges from office. This would establish that prior to the end of the appointed term, the judge could only be removed by a supermajority of the governing body, the city council in this case, and on a finding of the violations you see in paragraph B, which is our lines 29 through 37. Mr. President, if there are no questions, I'd yield the well and ask favorable consideration of House Bill 691. Thank you, Mr. President.
Questions on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection? Without objection, committee substitute is adopted. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the bill? Is there objection? Agree in the report of committee which fair will pass the bill. Chair is none. Report of committee is agreed to. Should the main question be now put? Are there objections? Chair is none. Main question is ordered. Shall this bill now pass? Question is on the pass of the bill. All those in favor of the bill vote aye. Those opposed no. Secretary unlock the machine. On the pass of the bill, the yeas are 50, the nays are 3. And this bill, having received requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Secretary will read House Bill 726.
House Bill 726 by Representative Tanner of the Ninth and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 11 of Title 48 of the OCG relating to taxes on tobacco products so as to clarify that certain charges are not subject to state excise tax, to provide for related matters, to provide for an effective date, to repeal conflicting laws and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Committee of the Senate on Finance recommends that this bill do pass by submitted by Senator Hill, a 32nd. Mr. President, there's also a fiscal note attached to this bill. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 31st to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a very simple bill. This is just eliminate some of the pyramiding of taxes as it relates to tobacco products. Simply states that if you break out the amount of the federal excise tax, that we won't collect state tax on a federal excise tax. I'd be glad to answer or attempt to answer any questions if there are any.
Were you asking? No. Yeah, okay. No. That's fine. No questions. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the bill? Is there objection granted? Report of committee which favor pass the bill. Chair is none. Report of committee is agreed to. Shall the main question be now put? Are there any objections? Chair is none. Main question is ordered. Shall this bill now pass? Questions on the pass of the bill. All those in favor of the bill vote aye. Those opposed no. Secretary will unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 49, the nays are 3, and this bill, having received requisite constitutional majority, is therefore adopted. Secretary will read House Bill 765.
House Bill 765 by Representative Powell of the 171st and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 49-3-2 of the OCG relating to the appointment of board members to the County Departments of Family and Child Services, so as to provide that appointments may include certain retired individuals, to provide for related matters, repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Committee of the Senate on Health and Human Services recommends that this bill do pass, quickly submitted by Senator Hunter to the 45th. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 11th present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. I bring House Bill 765 that allows retired people to serve on local county DFACS boards. If there are any questions, I'll answer them. Otherwise, I'll yield the well, Mr. President.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the bill? Is there objection? Agree on the report of committee which favor pass the bill? Chair is none. Report of committee is agreed to. Shall the main question be now put? Are there any objections? Chair is none. Main question is ordered. Shall this bill now pass? Question on the passage of the bill. All those in favor of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed, no. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 52, the nays are 0, and this bill, MC Rex constitutional majority, is therefore adopted. Secretary will read House Bill 770.
House Bill 770 by Representative F. Stratton on the 104th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 16-5-46 of the OCGA relating to trafficking of persons for labor or sexual services so as to provide for and revise defined terms to change penalty provisions to remove a potential defense to a charge of trafficking of persons for labor or sexual servitude, to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Committee of the Senate on Health and Human Services recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted by Senator Unterman, the 45th. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 45th, representing the strong rural parts of this great state.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have to tell y'all, I am an honorary member of the Hinterland Caucus. Is that right? That's right. Thank you. I bring before you House Bill 770, and House Bill 770 clarifies the involvement of an undercover operative or law enforcement officer in a trafficking investigation. But the most important thing that 770 does, it includes the definition of someone who is psychologically impaired, as in someone who has developmental disabilities. Director Vernon Keenan testified about a family that was using a person who had a developmental disability and using that person as a mechanism of trafficking and making money off of that individual. I would like to thank our Attorney General, Sam Olens. He's the one who came up with this definition and wanting to take care of those in the mental health community that are our most vulnerable citizens. And I'd like to express our gratitude for over the years that he has worked with us on the issue of sex trafficking. And this bill is indicative of his involvement in knowing what cases are coming through the criminal courts to know how we need to change our laws to keep up with the culture that is changing around the issue of sexual slavery and keeping people in prison and ruining their lives. I ask for your favorable consideration of House Bill 770. I'll yield for any questions. If there's no questions, I yield the well. There's no questions, I yield the well. Thank you.
There is one question by the Judiciary Non-Civil Chair. Chair recognizes him from 23rd.
With the senator to yield,
Yes, sir.
on lines 84 to 87, dealing with undercover operatives or law
Yes.
enforcement, can you explain that a little bit?
Yes, I can. Actually, the senator from the, I think it's 32nd, the city of Conyers, and as you know, the GBI has formed a sex trafficking squad, a vice squad, and the Metro Atlanta has a task force also, and they routinely conduct undercover operations. And what they do is use oftentimes decoys involved in those, and they want to make sure that when they're using an agent that they're not involved in the sex trafficking and can be accused of sex trafficking. It's in the undercover operations. Does that explain it? I mean, I'm not supposed to ask a question, but I think it does explain it. We do have, and the GBI has been working, and as you know, we have several agents in the GBI that are now working across the state of Georgia. They're doing a fabulous job, and they're training local law enforcement so that they know that these undercover operations are being done correctly. And this was the recommendation from the Metro Atlanta Task Squad to protect them while they're doing those undercover operations.
No questions, Senator.
Thank you. I yield the well.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the bill? Is there objection? Agree to report of committee which fail pass the bill. Chairs none. Report of committee is agreed to. Shall the main question be now put? Are there any objections? Chairs none. Main question is ordered. Shall this bill now pass? Question is on the passage of the bill. All those in favor of the bill vote aye. Those opposed no. Secretary will unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 54 and the nays are 0. This bill having received Rex constitutional majority is therefore adopted. Secretary will read House Bill 779.
House Bill 779 by Representative Tanner of the 9th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 16 of the OCG relating to crimes and offenses so as to regulate the use of unmanned aircraft systems and images captured by such systems, to provide for definitions, provide for exceptions, to provide for penalties and a civil right of action, to provide for venue, to amend Code Section 27-3-151 of the OCG relating to activity prohibited in the taking of wildlife so as to regulate the use of unmanned aircraft systems and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Committee of the Senate on Science and Technology recommends that this bill be passed by substitute, respectively submitted by Senator Thompson of the 14th. Mr. President, the Senate Science and Technology Committee offers the following substitute to House Bill 779, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 16 and Chapter 2 of Title 6 of the OCG relating to crimes and offenses and regulations of aeronautics, aircraft, and airports generally, respectively, so as to regulate the use of unmanned aircraft systems, to provide for definitions, to provide for punishment, to provide for preemption, to create the Georgia Unmanned Vehicle Systems Commission, to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Chair recognizes Senator from 32nd present the bill.
Thank you, Senators. Mr. President, I bring to you House Bill 799. Last summer, the legislature held a drone study committee to explore air, land, and underwater unmanned vehicles, or drones. And we've coordinated since that time closely with the House sponsor to advance several initiatives. The Senate and the House have both now sponsored drone bills, trying to accomplish several different measures. And the measure before you, I believe, is the best part of both plans. The bill does simply three things. First, it creates a drone commission, which the purpose of that is to create a forum to gather industry experts in order to advance Georgia as the best place in the country to do three things: develop the new technology, second, to manufacture drones, and third, to recommend legislation to further protect our private property rights. In addition to the commission, the bill does this one thing, and that's, I believe it improves the law related to drones. It's a good balance between personal property rights, privacy, and public safety, as well as it maintains the current restrictions in the law today. Among other things, it's illegal today, and it will continue to be illegal to photograph or video or capture images on private property without someone's consent. We have not changed that, but I would commend to you House Bill 799, ask for your favorable consideration, and be willing to take a few questions if there are some.
You do have some questions. Chair recognizes Senator from 37th for a question.
The senator had a question privately, and I answered that, I believe, already, Mr. President.
Chair recognizes Senator from 35th for a question.
Thank you, Mr. President. Will the senator yield?
I do.
I'm very concerned about drones being in the hands of just plain individuals because criminal things are happening with them. And you mentioned restrictions and that they are not supposed to come on your property. Is that correct? For privacy?
It's the intent to balance those private property interests with public safety, for example, if it's for law enforcement or fire rescue. Yes.
What is the restriction? What is the?
I'll point to you lines 34 to 47 to read through that if you haven't had a chance to already. But we're trying to balance these restrictions. We don't want you to be able to, this is not everyone has a right to fly a drone over your property. We're protecting your private property rights. But if it's for commercial purposes like dropping off a package that you've ordered, that such would be allowed. If it's law enforcement reasons that are valid that they can do today.
Well, I had a situation, and I shared it with some of the people that in my caucus, where at 3 o'clock in the morning I had fallen asleep in my den, and I could see in my kitchen this light shine, and it was like 3:30 in the morning. And then I got up to investigate, right, and I saw that it was a little drone at my bay window in my kitchen, and it looked like it was it was a bright, bright light. So of course I called 911. Then I heard the three-wheeler that had come in our backyard from somewhere. So do you think about any kind of criminal things like that? Is it any way that
and that's a good question. I won't go long here, but that's a good question because the Federal Aviation Administration has required now the registration of drones, which is probably a good thing, so you can track down if you ever were to find out that. But what you just described to me, based on just those facts, they violated the law unless that was law enforcement doing so in a legal way, because existing current law under Title 16 makes it illegal to capture images, photograph, etc., without your permission. It's a felony.
But it's going to be very hard to find those people.
Well, that's the reason for creating this commission, to continue to study this, not just the industry side of it and the business purposes, but also to balance those interests that you're talking about.
With that,
I will yield the well because I know we have a lot of bills on the floor.
All right, thank you.
Questions on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection? Without objection, committee substitute is adopted. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the bill? Is there objection? Agree to report of committee which failed pass the bill. Chairs none. Report of committee is agreed to. Shall the main question be now put? Are there any objections? Chairs none. Main question is ordered. All those in favor of the bill vote aye. Those opposed no. Secretary unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 51, the nays are 3. And this bill, having received X constitutional majority, is therefore adopted. Secretary will read House Bill 952.
House Bill 952 by Representative Nimmer of the 178th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 43 of the OCG relating professions and businesses so as to enact the Georgia Professional Regulation Reform Act to provide for executive oversight of licensing boards, to establish state policy for the regulation of certain professions and businesses, to provide for legislative intent, to provide for definitions, to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Committee of the Senate on Regulated Industries and Utilities recommends that this bill be passed by substitute, quickly submitted by Senator Jeffries of the 17th. Mr. President, the Senate Regulated Industries and Utilities Committee offers the following substitute to House Bill 952, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 43 of the OCG relating professions and businesses so as to enact the Georgia Professional Regulation Reform Act to provide for executive oversight of licensing boards, to establish state policy for the regulation of certain professions and businesses, to provide for legislative intent, to provide for definitions, to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws and for other purposes. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 30th present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the Senate, this legislation will bring Georgia's licensing boards into full compliance with the federal antitrust regulations in light of U.S. Supreme Court's recent decision in North Carolina versus the Federal Trade Commission. Under the state action doctrine, states are immune from prosecution by the FTC for legislative or regulatory actions that might otherwise be seen as anti-competitive. However, state action immunity will only apply to non-elected agencies or boards where the state both, 1, clearly articulates the policy, and 2, actively supervises the policy. This proposed shift saves the ability of the experts in relevant fields to suggest and implement proper regulations. Subject to your questions.
Questions on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection? Chair hears none, and the committee substitute is adopted. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the bill? Is there objection? Agree in the Porter Committee which Farrell passed the bill. Chair is none. Porter Committee is agreed to. Shall the main question be now put? Are there any objections? Chair is none. Main question is ordered. Shall this bill now pass? Questions on the pass of the bill. All of those in favor of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed no. Secretary will unlock the machine. Chair recognizes Senator from the 31st to reconsider its actions on a unanimous vote. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 56, the nays are 0. This bill having received Rex constitutional majority is therefore adopted. I have just been informed that the House has once again recessed. They have taken up, based on my reports, 4 bills today. Now, senators, two resolutions, 4 bills, 2 resolutions. We have now taken up 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. I think that's about 20 bills we've taken up so far to their 4. I don't understand why they constantly have to leave and not do the people's business of passing these good Senate bills. So my understanding is the House plans to reconvene at 3:30, so the Senate will stand at ease until 3:30. Chair recognizes Senator from 31st.
Mr. President, do you know if Senate Resolution 604 was one of the ones they took up, the elimination of the quarter mil ad valorem tax?
I don't believe that one has had any action. And we are going to stand at ease till 3:30.